So guys, what are we gonna do today? Well, we're gonna take a look at something. We're gonna see, is this gravity knife an effective EDC? So I kind of went ahead and did it so that you guys don't have to. And it took a little while to get it all done because it's not the easiest thing to carry. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at a little history about gravity knives, and then we'll talk about why I don't know if this is a viable option as an EDC. All right, so this is the Exo Gravity Knife. You've seen it a couple times on the channel. You know how much I love this thing. Probably one of the best made gravity knives ever. I've seen a lot of other gravity knives. They're usually not this well made. Sometimes they're a little bit different. Sometimes they have a little, like a push button that is like you release the spring and the knife falls out and they lock a little bit. But typically a lot of them are like this, where they're just kind of free falling. So let's look at a little of the history of it. So in 1937, the German army, they wanted a one-handed operation knife for their paratroopers to extricate themselves from trees if they fell and got their parachute caught up in it. So they came up with a gravity knife, which was a push button. I'm going to put a picture of the original Luftwaffe gravity knife over here on the right, but it was a way for them to have a knife that they could open one-handed without having really a lot of manipulation they had to do. There wasn't a lot of mechanics to it. There wasn't a lot of springs, something that would go wrong. So the British got wind of the Luftwaffe gravity knife and they made a bunch of their own. I think the original order that the British picked up was 500. And then somewhere around the 1950s, these got grouped in with switchblades and stuff like this. So a lot of those knives made their way home from World War II into the, from the European theater, and then they came back stateside. So I wanted to get that out of the way because there are some legalities at hand. Technically, me carrying this was illegal because this is a prohibited item in California. I do know that there's a lot of states where these are legal. They just recently passed a law in New York that made these illegal, or made these legal to carry except on public transportation. There's a lot of states that have de-vilified the gravity knife and switchblade. And I would like to say that if you are looking for a rapid deployment knife for possibly close quarters combat, things like that, this is a very, very good knife for that. Design-wise, shape-wise, blade shape, and just the deployment that you've got without having something that will get gummed up and have to worry about the action. So there's those out of the way. So for the last, I want to say 2 weeks, I've been EDCing this a couple days a week. And I don't mean just throwing it in the pocket slip and putting it in my pocket, in my, in my watch pocket, or putting it in the sheath and just walking around the house. I mean, like, I ran the risk of getting caught with an illegal item, and I carried this wherever I was going. A lot of times I was going, I would have to take my daughter ice skating and pick my daughter up from school, things like that. And so I carried it and I did a lot of tasks around the house and other places that I went. Now, no one even raised an eyebrow at me having this knife and deploying it like this in public. I will say, though, it felt uncomfortable, and there were times that I really did not feel comfortable pulling this knife out. So as far as ease of carry and comfort of carry, it's really comfortable to carry. It really is, especially in this leather slip, and you can just stick it down in your pocket or in the kangaroo pocket of a sweatshirt, down inside the watch pocket with my shirt pulled down over it. But it also has this really nice sheath that does really well, and you can set it at an angle where it's not intrusive, it's not digging into your hip. Mine sits like this on my belt and then down at an angle. And it's actually really comfortable to carry that way as well. So the comfort of carry issue is not like comfort of carry like I'm saying, like, oh, it doesn't fit my pocket or the pocket clip catches on stuff. I'm talking about comfort of carry of, do I feel as though I'm going to get in trouble today? And that was kind of high on this. I've carried, I don't know why, I carry switchblades, I carry autos, and I don't ever have that feeling. But this one, I kind of felt out of sorts. And I think it's because just the aggressive look of it. So there's that part. Now let's get into actually carrying and using it. Now, for some things, this works really well. This LMAX blade is razor sharp. It cuts so well. And the fact is, it's in a very functional, useful blade shape. So as far as, is it a functional, usable knife? Absolutely. This thing cuts so well for a lot of day-to-day duty tasks, like cutting down boxes, cutting cardboard, cutting line and rope, cutting food things, cutting burrito in half. The normal day-to-day tasks that somebody's going to do. I had to tie some stuff on the roof of the car to take it to a friend's house. It screams through all the material you'd want. And the fact that it is one hand open and closing without much to manipulate does come in handy if you're doing something where you only have one hand free, which is what it was designed for. But I do have to say there are some limitations. There truly, truly are some limitations. So give me just a second. Let me readjust this tripod now that I've hit it. Sorry about that, guys. One of the big limitations is without a lock, it's really easy to have it come loose on you. And it really limits you on carry. So now I said comfort of carry was not such a big deal as far as comfort in pocket, but you are really limited because you can't just throw this in your pocket. It doesn't have a lock and it will come open. So you got to have something that you can put it in, such as this pocket slip from Crane's Cutlery. Really nice design and pattern on it. Looks good. Or the sheath. So if you're carrying it any other way, you're really going to have problems with it. You can't stick this in a hip pocket. It doesn't have a pocket clip. It doesn't have a belt loop or a belt clip or anything like that. So that's pretty limiting there. Other thing is, you're kind of just stuck in one handhold because you provide the tension on it to keep it open. With it not having a physical lock, you are the lock. So you got to have your hand on it in a fashion where it comes loose, where it's like this, where you're cutting. But the fact is, if you're wanting to do some up close detail cutting, you're not necessarily going to have that available. So you're kind of limited on doing things where you need the whole blade. So any upfront detail cutting is kind of out of the mix. When you have another knife, a lot of times you can get up on it, you can choke way up on it and cut like that. This, you really don't have that option, because when you start getting up here, then you really run the risk of that coming out and loose, and then your blade trying to come down shut, and you could cut yourself. So, you know, there's that part of it. The fact that it is a large knife means that you're kind of limited to doing big cutting tasks. So if you were thinking that you could carry this and just do all of your day-to-day tasks, I really don't think so. Now, I will say that cutting up things with this knife is always fun because it has a flair to it. And you can really do a lot of heavy cutting with this knife because the grips are great, but you're still like really limited. I would say that this is my favorite blade shape of them. They have a Tonto and a double-edged version of this that you saw in one of my videos. I think this is the most functional one of them, and it's a really good blade shape. I kind of did a couple little things that I thought would be cool. I actually put some rubber bands. I think I might have taken a picture. If I still have a picture of it, I put some rubber bands here so that I could roll rubber bands up the handle to kind of keep it in place so I could do some of them finer detail tasks and not feel as if the blade was going to come slide through my hand and stuff like that. If I've got a picture of it, I'll put it over here. But you know, it was kind of easy. I've just wrapped a rubber band around it a couple times, put it here, and I could just roll it up further and get it up here in this area, in that same area jimping. And it just put a little tension on it to keep the blade where I wanted it. The other thing about this, if you don't like blade rattle and blade play, if that drives you nuts, you're not going to want to EDC that, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's constant. You constantly hear it. Open, closed, in the sheath. It's not as bad, but still. In the sheath, out of the sheath, in the slip. It can get annoying if you're carrying it around in your pocket and you're just hearing that. It might be one of those things that puts you off of trying to carry it. But in the big scope of things, the negatives of carrying this kind of outweigh the benefits. This is a lot of fun. This is a great knife just to enjoy and have fun with. It is possibly one of the It's the only knife other than my autos that I actually fidget with because I'm not causing any damage to it. It doesn't have a stop pin that's going to get out of alignment. Like if I, or out of spec, if I'm playing with this because it's fun to fidget with, I'm wearing this knife out. I'm really not doing that with this. It's designed that way. That's how it's supposed to be ran. And the fact it already has a little bit of rattle, already has a little bit of play. I'm not doing anything to it. So this actually is kind of a fun little fidgety thing. It's nice to have. The downside of that is if you start doing that in public, you're gonna get some attention and it might not be the attention you want. I do have to say, in closing, it was a lot of fun to carry this. It was kind of a fun little side project that I've been doing for a little while, just to see like how functional is it. It's okay functional, but I just really think that the negative sides of carrying this kind of outweigh the positives. So take it as you would. I mean, if you're somewhere where you can carry it, this is a great gravity knife, probably the best gravity knife I've ever seen. A lot of times gravity knives are really cheap. If you're looking to get one, go to Crane's Cutlery. They have a selection. They have their own in-house special models of it. But when it comes down to it, it's just a great all-around knife, not just a fun fidget toy. But is it a day-to-day EDC? Well, for some people it might be. For me, I would say this is more up my alley of everyday carry, which carrying it the way I carry this is every bit as illegal as carrying this. So, I mean, the legalities of it, the limitations of it, the lack of a lock, the possible safety issues that go with it, those all have to be taken into account when you decide if you're going to do it. So guys, that's it on this one. It's just a fun little side project I decided to do and carry it and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and turn this around. I'll give you some final thoughts and send you out about your way.
There you go, guys. Like I said, I carried this for about 2 weeks. I had this in the works. And I honestly have to say, as much as I love this knife, and it's a lot of fun, and it cuts really well, and in some situation it works really well, there's a lot of tasks you really can't do with it just because of the limitations on the fact it doesn't lock. So, you know, I kind of knew that was going to be the case. And plus the carry options aren't optimal with this. So guys, that's it on this one. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. But you got to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon so you get notifications. But you got to make sure notifications are turned on your device or you're not going to get notified of the 2, sometimes 3 items I post up a day, including live feeds and stuff like that. So if you want to support the channel in financial ways, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. First and foremost, there's a membership link down below that can get you in on tier-based memberships. Pick the tier that works best for you with what you want to get out of the membership. Remember, everyone saves $5 on my sharpening service, and everyone that's a member also has access to my gilded server. If you choose to be a premium tier member, however, I've built a sharpening tutorial series that you guys have access to as a premium tier member. Other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links down below. The one that I really want to bring your attention to is the Blade HQ link, where you can find a lot of the items, if not all of them, that I have on this channel. You can find them there. Other things down there, I've got EDC items, stones, recommended knives and things like that, tools, sharpening stones, all kinds of stuff down below. And the final way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. I've set up a coupon code over at Ember Shirt Co. that will save you 10% at checkout. And that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp. And if you purchase my merchandise and send me pictures of you wearing it, I will put them in the videos. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. It makes it easier to moderate the channel. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you next time, like tomorrow morning or afternoon or whenever you decide to watch the videos. Spinny chair. Ow.